Hey guys, today we are answering the question of should we be celebrating individual statistics and milestones for a team sport? So I'll give you my answer here in just a second. So stay tuned. All right, so I wanted to talk about the whole statistic, milestone, celebration idea. The reason that came up is there was a post on the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, and probably going to do this a little bit more because there's just more and more silly things that get said on Facebook, and it's fun to talk about them. And I give you my opinion on it, and you can like my opinion, don't like my opinion, just like I don't like this person's opinion. And either way, it doesn't necessarily matter to me. But I do think that it's something that we should at least talk about and address, because I think this person specifically misses on a whole bunch of points that we are going to discuss. So it'll be on your screen here in just a second, but it says this: unpopular opinion. Why are teams celebrating the most average of accomplishments in regard to individual player assists, kills, digs? Question mark. I see it all the time lately. ... I like the added ... That's nice. Very catchy. I was always of the opinion that the milestones that should be celebrated should be a minimum of 1,000 for kills and digs and 2,000 for assists. I'm not a fan of celebrating mediocrity. Now, obviously, I'm not giving you this person's name or where the post was from, because that part doesn't necessarily matter. But there's a few things that this person gets wrong. The first thing is that their guidelines and statistics that should be celebrated as milestones, I think, are also, we should only be celebrating 2,000 kills or 2,000 digs, if not 3,000 digs, because digs are so easy. Those are the milestones that we should be celebrating for kills and digs. And assists, it should be like 5,000. See, Jimmy, if I can call him Jimmy, that's just what I'll call him. What Jimmy doesn't understand is his guidelines and opinions for what we are celebrating are, in my opinion, absolutely mediocre. And so the expectations that I have are way higher. So we shouldn't celebrate even 2,000 assists. That would be mediocre and terrible. And it seems silly to celebrate a milestone that is so small for athletes. Now, obviously, I'm being sarcastic with that, because those types of stipulations are relative. All of it is relative. Who is Jimmy to say that an athlete getting 500 kills or 500 digs or even 500 assists is mediocre? And really, they're not in the position to say that, because context in statistics is very important. Whenever I talk about statistics with families, Jason, should we include stats? Should we include stats? Maybe you should, if they're good stats. Not all stats are good stats. Just because you have 500, 1,000, or 2,000 assists doesn't necessarily mean that those stats are amazing. Are they great accomplishments and milestones and things you should celebrate? Yes, I'll get to that in a little bit. But stats are relative. And as I've said and laid out in other blog posts in the past, we can easily see that some of these high school athletes are reaching milestones that even college athletes aren't. So that means statistically that these high school athletes are better than all these college athletes. We know that's not true too. And as I've laid out in my blog post that I'm alluding to, for at least in Texas, I don't know about every other state, but in Texas, the high school season is actually longer. If they go from the start of the season to state, it's longer than a lot of Division I seasons. And so you're going to rack up more statistics, more stats, more digs, more sets, more kills. That isn't to say that those aren't accomplishments, but you're just going to get more by playing more. And that leads me to my other point about relative statistics. So because an athlete maybe doesn't join varsity until her junior and senior year, well, her stats on JV and C probably aren't getting tallied. Maybe some schools are including JV and C squad stats in these tallies. I don't know. Can't say for sure. I know most schools aren't keeping track of C squad and JV stats for individual athletes. They're waiting till they get to varsity, because that's varsity is what counts. So this athlete that only got to play 1 or 2 seasons of varsity volleyball isn't going to get a 2,000 or a 3,000 or 5,000 milestone. Just probably not going to happen. So there's nothing wrong with celebrating 500 kills, 500 digs, 1,000 only assists if you get to that point. Why can't we celebrate those things? Again, statistics are relative. If an athlete gets 25 kills in 3 sets, that's really impressive. That's crazy impressive. 25 kills in a 3-set match is crazy good. 25 kills in a 5-set match is also crazy good. Okay. Now it's fewer kills per set, as you can do the math, but it's still an impressive milestone. So just because we get 25 kills in a 5-set match or 25 kills in a 3-set match, I think both things would be worth celebrating and worth mentioning, because anytime athletes do something exceptional, not mediocre, exceptional, we should celebrate those things. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. When he's putting stipulations and guidelines around what you're allowed to celebrate and what you're not allowed to celebrate, again, those are relative. And so it's ridiculous to say that an athlete that is celebrating 500 digs is somehow less than or mediocre than an athlete celebrating 1,000 digs. I think that's silly, because again, situations are different. Maybe this athlete has played 4 years of varsity. Maybe this athlete has played 1 year of varsity. We don't know, right? So there's absolutely nothing wrong with going and doing that. The other part that I find frustrating about this line of thinking is that you're belittling athletes who are trying really hard. They're working their tail off. They're in the gym every day. And so when you reach a milestone, 100 kills, I think is a milestone in some ways for some athletes. It's not mediocre. And just because I get 500 kills in a season and this athlete over here gets 1,000 kills in a season, that doesn't make me mediocre. Maybe, again, going back to statistics and the relativeness of them, maybe that athlete got set twice as much as I did. So again, yeah, she's going to have more kills. There's a high school team that I go and watch probably every year because I know a bunch of the athletes. I've known lots of them at this point throughout high school. I don't know if any of those athletes hit any of these milestones, even like a 500 kill milestone, because the team itself is so good and the team has so many weapons that not all of those athletes are getting set 50, 60, 70 times a match. The offense is getting spread out. So they're going to have fewer kills overall. It doesn't remove from the fact that they are terrific athletes and most of them are going to go play really good Division I volleyball. It doesn't take away from that at all if they only have 150 kills on a season. Meanwhile, this athlete over here has 300 kills in the season. Well, she's getting set 3 times as much because there's no one else on her team that's going to get kills. So then, yeah, that athlete is going to get more kills. It just makes sense. So again, we're trying to label athletes as mediocre and their accomplishments as mediocre because just the number of statistics, and that's silly to do. In head coaches meetings when I was a college coach with our conference, and I would always bring up this kind of idea. We cannot judge first, second, third team, all conference players just on statistics because every team, every situation looks differently. Plus, if we're doing that, then why are we voting on anything? You just go, okay, these 5 players have the most kills, they're first team. These other 5 players have the second most kills, they're on second team. Like that would just be easy. We don't need to vote for anything if we're just doing it statistically. And again, statistics are relative. But this whole idea of belittling athletes and saying that they're mediocre in their current situation that's going to be different than other people's, I have a really big issue with that. Some athletes only get 1 year to play varsity. And so those accomplishments that they make throughout that season, especially if they help their team win and be successful, those are things that should be celebrated, not being referred to as mediocre. And the final thing that I would like to say about Jimmy and his thoughts are that this mentality, Jimmy's mentality about belittling athletes and saying that they're less than if they don't reach these certain milestones and these lower level milestones, which again, I've already said are relative. I have higher expectations, obviously. That mindset and that type of process feeds in to what I have been talking about now for several months, this idea that this Division I mentality, quote unquote, does not exist. Okay. And these people like Jimmy who have these thoughts and these opinions, it feeds into this idea of Division I mentality, where Division I is better than everything else. It's better than Division II. It's better than Division III. Even if you don't play Division I, you're somehow less than all these other athletes that are playing Division I. And that type of thinking gets in athletes' heads and it makes them anxious and stressful about the recruiting process. And they feel like they're letting people down if they don't play Division I. And none of that is really true, but these types of opinions play into that. And it's super frustrating to see because you're saying, unless you hit this marker, this is my expectation. Unless you hit it, you are somehow less than, and you are a mediocre volleyball player. And there's no way that you can make an argument with me that an All-American at Division II who helps their team win a national championship and leads the team in kills and is the kill leader for the country at Division II in that season, you can't tell me that athlete is somehow mentally weaker than all of these other Division I athletes just because this athlete is playing Division II. That's silly. And when we actually are forced to follow this type of mindset that Division I is better than anything else, and if you aren't playing Division I, then you are somehow less than all of these other athletes that are. Once we start feeding into that, then you have to agree that this athlete that's a Division II All-American that helped their team win a national championship, you are saying that athlete, because they're playing Division II, are somehow mentally weaker than all of these Division I athletes. And that's just silly. And that's just nonsense. And it's that type of battle that I am constantly fighting on this, trying to help athletes understand that you can have a fantastic career playing Division II, playing Division III. You can have a great academic experience playing Division II, playing Division III. You can have a great college experience playing Division II, playing Division III. It is entirely possible for you to reach and hit all of your college goals by playing Division II and Division III. Potentially the only thing that's different is maybe you're not playing Division I. And it's okay to not play Division I. As I've discussed with some families recently, they go on these visits and these campuses and meet with these college coaches and talk to players at the Division I schools, and they go, oh, it's not all glitz and glamour. No, it's not. And so when you automatically assume that all these Division I programs are fully funded and have tons of money and all these different things, then you get in that situation and go, my $20 stipend for the day is not really what I thought it would be. This Division I school doesn't have a smoothie machine that I have access to all the time. Not all schools do that at Division I. There is a massive spectrum from the top of Division I to the bottom of Division I. And just because you fit somewhere on that spectrum doesn't mean that school in that situation is better than Division II. I have athletes and families go visit a Division II school that's here close to where I am, and I just wait for the text message because it comes every single time. They go, Jason, these facilities are amazing. We didn't expect it. And yeah, there's great facilities. There's great coaching. There's great situations and great academics at Division II programs and Division III programs. You are not somehow less than just because you're not playing Division I. In some cases, in several cases that I've been involved in, you're actually in a way better situation than you would be at the Division I school. So let's not listen to people like Jimmy that have silly opinions that don't actually make sense. Let's not feed into the lie and the misconception of this sort of D1 mentality idea where playing Division I automatically makes you more mentally tough and better than all these athletes that play Division II or Division III. Let's not feed into that. Don't listen to this opinion. You get 100 kills, celebrate it. You get 500 kills, celebrate it. You get 1,000 assists, even though Jimmy thinks you should only celebrate 2,000 assists, celebrate your 1,000 assists. We need to do this in the recruiting process as well. Little wins that help get us to where we're going. Maybe your goal is 2,000 assists in your career. That's awesome. Have that goal. When you hit 1,000, celebrate it. You should. When you get on the phone with a college coach, celebrate it. That's a small win that you are working towards your goal. When you get responses from college coaches, celebrate it. When you go on a visit, celebrate it. All those things are helping you get to where you want to go, and they should be celebrated. You should celebrate those small wins, just like you should celebrate what Jimmy says is mediocre levels of volleyball. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button so that you can watch my next video, and let me know. Send me whatever comments on Facebook, Instagram about volleyball, recruiting, or sports that you want me to rant about next, and we'll try to keep doing this.